Welcome back to Myelin and Me. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but this channel is the best channel in the whole entire world for MS, right? You people who have just subscribed are the luckiest people in the whole world, right? I'm not going to forget you guys. So when this is smashing through the roof, right, and MS is like everywhere and there's loads of awareness and the people are like proper buying into it, we've got to cure this disease. We're going to be the foundations, right? So everybody get on this. So I want to start this video by giving a bit of a warning, really. If you've been diagnosed with relapsing-remitting, newly diagnosed with MS, etc., etc., and you're not quite to the secondary progressive stage yet, then this video might have some, well, you could call them spoilers if you want. But, you know, it might bring home a little bit too much if you haven't quite got to this stage yet. So I'll put it in the playlist on the YouTube and watch it when you feel ready to watch it, because there's certain things in it which might hit hard a little bit and I don't want to upset anybody. So, you know, it's just a little warning there. But I'm going to talk about the MS which I've got, you know, which is non-secondary progressive MS. And I never had the opportunity to talk to anybody who had this type of MS. I was still learning which each different type was, you know, and this one is silent because you're not having any relapses. Your MRIs are nice, you know, showing no change. You know, you have 3 or 4 MRIs even, and there's no change. Your neurologist is like, there's no change. And you think, oh, okay. But I want it to be changed so I can get medication. But then on the other side of it, it's like, well, if there's no change, I know what I'm dealing with. So, you know, it's non-active. I remember I did my PIP thing and they said, oh, you're non-active secondary progressive. Oh, you must be all right now then. I was like, no, it don't work like that. Let me explain it to you. So you can imagine, can't you? You're like, no, don't take my PIP off me. Just because you're non-active, it don't mean I'm not, like, you know, in a wheelchair. So it's a silent MS, and one which it's a little bit scary. But then, like I said, you kind of know what you're going with. You know, it's like, I know my symptoms which I've got to deal with now. My hand, my mobility, my fatigue, you know, if it gets hot, I get a bit of nightmare. You know, it's just kind of, you know where you are. So I suppose you can sort of plan, you know. So it's not going to be any steroids or anything you can take just to help you feel a little bit better, you know, stop relapses or whatever. But it's not as dramatic, I suppose, as, you know, and I'm thinking, is it in my head? But it's not, because we know all we've got. It's the kind of damage which doesn't show up with all flashing lights and fireworks. It's just slow. And it's serious, because relapsing-remitting, you get better. You're not getting better with this. It's just getting worse. So it is, isn't it? It's serious. It progresses. It takes things gradually, but permanently. So you know that when you're in this bit, it's going to get worse. It's not getting better. And that's a hard bit to get your head around. Because it's quiet, it gets ignored. So you're not in a crisis and people think you're okay. But, you know, it takes to hold your balance or energy or something like that. It just takes it, you know, it's going, and it's not going to get any better. And that's a really difficult thing to get your head around. I want to try and help from what I did to try and get a little bit more sort of perspective to it. You know, it's like, it's not a moneymaker, SPMS, is it, for, you know, pharmaceutical companies and charities and things like that, because it's kind of like, you lot are gone. We're not worrying about you anymore. We're worrying about the people who are going to get it, and then what we can do to try and slow it down and keep getting money and money. That's just my perspective of it. I can go into it for hours, and I may do a video one day, but you never know. But anyway, let's get back to it. So you try not to make a fuss. You don't want people to worry about you, so you just swallow it, carry on. But carrying on that, quietly is a daily act of strength for you that people will never understand. You know, you tell people there's no medication, there's no plan. You're just managing your symptoms. You think, how do I manage my symptoms? I'm never going to get cured, so how do I manage my symptoms? Your MS is, you know, it's no longer active, so there's nothing we can offer. And you just kind of sit in your neurologist's office, don't you? And you're just like, why am I here? Because there's nothing you can do. But then it's a weird kind of compliment that you're not getting worse. Does that make sense? You know, you can't take a DMT. There's not many trials about. There's no big next step. Just you. And the slow drip of progression. You know, there are things out there to help. Okay, there's, you know, sleep, food, you know, gut health. There's some medications you can take to deal with the symptoms, spasms, fatigue, etc. But it's not a cure. We're never going to get a cure. You never know. But it's still power, because you know what is going to be happening to you. So you just got to adapt quietly. You know, adapt all the time. Like little things. You know, just keep pushing. You know, just make yourself feel better that little day. You know what you're dealing with now. Just think about that. You know what you're dealing with. It might not be the best. You know, no one sees it. It's like, well, Mike's getting worse, but, you know, he's not having any new symptoms. Would you take that? I don't know. Which one would you prefer? You know, you've got this disease, but it's like, which one do I prefer? The one where you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow morning? You know, you're going to wake up blind because you've had a relapse and you've got optic neuritis and it's messing around with your eyesight or your speech. So we've got what we've got, and we're going to deal with this bit now. You know, we know things is like taking a lift instead of the stairs because you're feeling a little bit cocky that day because you can't get up those stairs. It's just showing up with your failing foot, your fuzzy brain. You know, you don't want medals, do you? But be strong, and you're already halfway there. But the good news is, right, and there is some good news, you know, with this. No one really tells you, do you? You know, you're kind of not in limbo anymore, which I think that's good news. There's no more surprise relapses. There's no more wondering if like a flare is going to take another part of you. You know, my left side's gone, but I haven't had a relapse for ages, so I've still got my right side. You take that, 50-50. So I can build around that, just do things with my right hand instead of my left hand. You know, I can make myself a little bit better just to keep the inflammation down. So it decreases my risk of another relapse or it becoming active again. So you might not have control over the damage, which we know is going on and on and on and on, but you do have control of how you live with it. And, you know, you're not invisible because of it, even if it feels that way. It doesn't get, how do I say, it doesn't get the headlines. There's no documentary on SPMS. There's no fundraising works for SPMS. It's like for MS. No one really knows this part of it. And this one is real. It's slow, it's hard, and it's lonely. And if you're in it right now, you're not invisible. You're just walking or rolling. Gotta say that. Remember those days when you could walk? And you're getting through it like some people could never imagine it. And doing it with dignity, which is massive, innit? You know what you're fighting. It's lovely when you know what you're fighting. So non-active SPMS isn't the loud kind of MS. It's real. I'm not saying everyone's not, but this is heavy and it deserves space, right? This is This is the old sweat of the MS world. You know, you don't need a cure to live fully. You just need people who get it, and a plan that works for you. So if this video helped, like, subscribe, drop a comment. I love comments. Comments are great, and I answer every single one, because if you're going to comment on one of my videos, you're going to get a reply. So, you know, I hope this video has helped kind of put into perspective a bit of how we are. We know what we, you know, I think I mentioned about 15 million times in this video. We know what we're dealing with. We know what we're fighting with. We know what we're fighting. So keep going, and look after yourselves, of course. And I'll speak to you on the next one.